Persian wrestlers, the Pahlavans of ancient Iran, trained in stone-walled gyms called Zurkhanehs, lifting weights heavier than what most men over 40 ever touch in a modern gym. 40-pound wooden clubs in each hand, 100-pound iron bows over the head, no machines, no mirrors. Just a system called Varzesh-e Bastani, meaning the ancient sport. UNESCO recognized it as living cultural heritage. And the men who trained this way moved like fighters into their 60s. Most guys over 40 are training harder and breaking down faster. The Persians figured out the fix 1,000 years ago. 6 exercises. A club, a board, a bow, or whatever you have at home. Here's how it works. Most men over 40 have a push-up problem. They either avoid them entirely because their wrists hurt, or they grind through them on the floor and feel their shoulders click for the next 2 days. The cause is the same. Wrists locked at 90 degrees on a flat surface, shoulders tracking through one fixed line, no rotation, no scoop, no variation. The Persian fix is the Takhteh Shena, the push-up board. It's a long wooden plank with 2 raised handles set wide. The handles change everything. Your wrists stay neutral instead of bent back at 90 degrees. Your hands grip something solid, the way a hand is actually built to. And because the handles are elevated above the board, your chest can drop below your hands at the bottom of the rep. Full range, no compression on the wrist joint. That depth at the bottom is where the magic is. A floor push-up stops your chest at hand level. The Persian push-up lets your chest dip below the plane of your hands, loading the pec and front shoulder at full stretch. Stretch under load is what builds resilient connective tissue. The bottom inch of that scoop is doing more for your shoulder long-term than 50 floor push-ups, because that's the range no flat floor variation can reach. Here's how it works. Set up 2 parallettes, 2 yoga blocks, 2 heavy books with gripping edges, or any 2 raised handles about shoulder width apart. From the top, arms straight, body in a line, lower your chest in a controlled scoop until it dips below your hands. Pause for a beat at the bottom. Press back up. The Pahlavans typically ran multiple variations on the same board in a single session. Wide grip, narrow grip. One hand staggered forward of the other, chest tracking different angles each set. That variety is the second piece of why this builds shoulders that last. Train one push-up pattern for years and the shoulder gets locked into that one path. Vary the angle, and you train the joint the way it was built to move, in arcs, not lines. The mistake most people make is locking out hard at the top and shrugging the shoulders into the ears. Stop just short of full lockout. Keep tension in the chest and lats. Locked out push-ups load the joint, not the muscle, and that's where shoulders start grinding. The second mistake is flaring the elbows wide. Elbows track back and slightly out, not flat to the sides. Flared elbows shift load off the chest and onto the front of the shoulder, which is the area men over 40 are already trying to protect. 3 times per week, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, slow on the way down. That eccentric phase is where the connective tissue strength is actually built. If floor push-ups hurt your wrists, this is the fix that lets you keep training for the next 20 years instead of the next 2. This one looks ancient and feels like nothing in any modern gym. The saying is a heavy wooden plank, historically modeled on a Persian soldier's shield, with a cutout handle through the middle. Pahlavans used 2 of them, one in each hand, around 45 pounds each, and pressed them while lying flat on their back. Sounds like a bench press. It isn't, not even close. The difference is what your body does. You're flat on the ground, you press one, saying up while rolling slightly onto the opposite hip. As you lower it, you press the other one up and roll the other direction. It's a constant alternating press with a rhythmic hip shift. Your spine rotates, your obliques fire. Your shoulders track through different angles every rep because nothing is locked to a bench. The bench press teaches your shoulder one path. Sangiri teaches it 10. Here's why that matters for the shoulder. Pressing on a flat bench pins your shoulder blade against the surface. The scapula physically can't move. Over years of bench pressing, that creates a glued down shoulder where the joint tries to do all the work the scapula should be sharing. That's how rotator cuffs tear. Too much glenohumeral movement, not enough scapular movement. The saying lets the shoulder blade glide along the floor as you roll. Every rep, the scapula is doing what it was built to do. There's also a core piece that's hard to overstate. Because you're rolling side to side under load, your obliques and deep abdominals have to brace and release rhythmically. That's totally different from a static plank or a cable rotation. It's coordinated, loaded rotation against gravity. The kind of core training that translates directly to picking up a suitcase, twisting in a doorway, or catching yourself when you slip on ice. Most ab work doesn't. Here's how it works. At a real Zurkhaneh, the sang weighs around 20 kilos, about 45 pounds each. For a home version, 2 heavy dumbbells, 2 weight plates with handles, or even 2 backpacks loaded with books. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Press the right weight up while rolling onto your right hip. Lower it as you press the left weight up and roll left. Steady rhythm. The hips drive the motion, not the arms. The mistake most people make is treating it like a floor press and skipping the hip roll. The roll is the whole point. Without it, you've got a worse bench press. With it, you've got a movement that loads the shoulder, ribs, and obliques in a coordinated way no machine can touch. The second mistake is going too heavy too soon. The sang is humbling. Start with weights that feel almost too light. The rotation makes everything heavier than it looks on paper. 3 times per week, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps per side. Within a month, your shoulders move differently. Within 2, your core feels like it's actually attached to your ribs again, the way it was supposed to be the whole time. This is where Persian training gets genuinely heavy. The mill, the Persian club, is not the light Indian club. We're talking wooden clubs that weigh 20 to 60 pounds each. The Palavans swung 2 of them, 1 in each hand, behind the back and over the shoulders in a continuous rhythm. The Kabadeh is an iron bow with chain rings, weighing anywhere from 22 to 110 pounds, swung overhead and rocked side to side. These aren't warm-up tools. They were the main event of a Zurkhaneh session. What both of these train is something a barbell never will. Loaded rotation, loaded shoulder mobility under fatigue, and a kind of grip endurance that doesn't develop in any pulling exercise modern training has invented. Here's the mill. Hold 1 in each hand at the base of the handle. With a slight knee bend, swing the right club up and around behind your right shoulder, letting the heavy end descend down your back, then drive it forward and up. As that one comes back, the left starts its own arc. The clubs alternate in opposite directions. The body counters the load with subtle hip rotation. It's both chaotic and precise. After 30 seconds, your shoulders are smoked in a way no overhead press can replicate. The reason the mill builds such durable shoulders is that it loads the joint at every angle. Front, back, side, top, behind the head. Most pressing movements load the shoulder in 1 or 2 positions and call it done. The mill hits all of them, every set. That's how you build a shoulder that doesn't break down, by giving it strength in every position it might find itself in. For home substitution, a sledgehammer in each hand is a near-perfect match. Even 1 sledgehammer, alternating side to side, works. The arc and rhythm matter more than the exact weight. The Kabadeh is different. It's a long iron bow with chain rings hanging from the body, held overhead with both hands. The Palavan rocks it side to side over the head, the rings clattering against the metal in time with the drum. It looks like a religious ritual. It trains the body like one. Overhead position, long lever, constant grip demand, and every micro instability, every wobble of the chains, forces the rotator cuff and scapular stabilizers to fire continuously to keep the bow from drifting. For a home version, a long resistance band held overhead works. So does an unloaded barbell with a few light plates added at each end to mimic the chain weight. The pattern matters more than the implement. The mistake on both is gripping too hard. Crushing the handle locks up the forearms and the shoulders never get their full arc. Loose hands. Let the weight do the work through the rhythm. 3 times per week. For Milbazi, 3 sets of 30 seconds to 1 minute of continuous swings. For Kabadeh, 3 sets of 20 side-to-side passes overhead. Your shoulders, lats, and grip will start to feel like they belong to someone 20 years younger. And here's what that actually feels like to live in. No more clicking shoulders the first time you reach overhead. No more aching knees on the stairs. No more lower back that ruins your day before you've even had coffee. No more sitting out the things you used to love because your joints can't take it. Just a body that moves freely, feels strong, and finally feels like it's on your side again. That's what 50 isometric holds gives you. Less than 10 minutes a day. Link in the description. This one stops most people the first time they see it. A grown man, often in his 50s or 60s, spinning in place like a Sufi mystic. Arms out, head tilted, rotating in continuous circles for a minute or longer. It looks ceremonial, it is, but it's also one of the most overlooked physical training tools in any tradition, and it's training a system most men over 40 are losing without realizing it. The chart trains your vestibular system. That's the inner ear apparatus that tells your brain where your body is in space. After 40, this system starts to decline silently. The first sign is usually a moment where you stand up and the room briefly tilts. Or you turn quickly and feel disoriented for a second longer than you used to. Falls in older adults aren't usually a strength problem. They're a vestibular problem. The strength is there. The balance system can't keep up. Spinning, done deliberately, retrains that system. Every rotation forces the inner ear, the eyes, and the deep stabilizers of the spine to coordinate. Done regularly, it's the equivalent of strength training for balance. The Persians knew this empirically. Wrestlers who whirled routinely had better footwork, better recovery from disorientation, and better reflexes deep into their careers. There's a reason this exercise survived in the tradition for centuries, while modern training has nothing equivalent. Here's how it works. Stand with arms out at shoulder height. Pick a focal point on the wall. Begin rotating in place. Slow at first, eyes following the focal point as long as possible on each rotation, then snapping back to it as you come around. That eye snap is the same technique ballet dancers use, called spotting. It teaches the vestibular system to recover quickly. Build up to longer spins as your tolerance grows. The mistake is going too long, too fast, and getting genuinely dizzy. The point isn't to get dizzy. The point is to train the system at the edge of comfort and stop just before it overwhelms. If you feel sick, you went too far. Back off, rest, and the next session will be easier. The second cue is keeping the spine tall. People who lose balance during spinning are usually folding at the waist. Stay upright. Ribs stacked over hips. Eyes leading the rotation, not the chest. 3 times per week. Start with 2 sets of 10 to 15 seconds of slow rotation. Build toward 30 seconds. After a month, your balance feels different in ways that show up everywhere. Walking, climbing stairs, turning quickly when something falls off a shelf. It's the system most men ignore until they fall. Most men over 40 have feet that have forgotten how to move. Years of cushioned shoes, hard floors, and walking-only conditioning leave the small muscles of the foot weak, the ankles stiff, and the whole lower kinetic chain disconnected from the ground. The result is what physical therapists see every day. Knee pain, hip pain, low back pain, all traceable to feet that can't articulate. Pas-a-dan, the Persian footwork pattern, fixes that. It's a rhythmic stamping and shifting movement done in sync with the drum, the foot rolling from heel to ball to outer edge, alternating sides, knees soft, hips driving. Over a few minutes, every joint from the toes to the lumbar spine is moving in a coordinated rhythm. It's not jogging in place. It's not jumping rope. It's a true footwork pattern, and it lights up muscles that haven't been asked to do their job in decades. Here's why that matters. Your foot has 26 bones, 33 joints, and over 100 muscles, ligaments, and tendons. In modern life, almost none of them get used because shoes do the work for you. Pas-a-dan asks them to fire. The arch lifts and drops. The toes grip and release. The ankle rolls through full range every step. The result is feet that feel responsive again and ankles that don't sprain when you step off a curb wrong. There's also a heart and conditioning piece. Pas-a-dan, done rhythmically for 3 to 5 minutes, is a steady aerobic load about the intensity of a brisk hike. The Pahlivans often did long stretches of footwork between heavier sets, treating it as both conditioning and active recovery between rounds. Here's how it works. Stand barefoot on a non-slippery surface. Begin a rhythmic step, right foot lifts, ball of the foot lands first, heel follows, then the foot drives down as the left foot lifts. The motion is closer to a controlled hop step than a march. Add a slight side-to-side hip shift. Find a beat music helps and stay in it for 60 seconds, then 90, then longer. The mistake is doing it in shoes. The whole point is foot articulation. Bare feet or thin socks on a clean floor. Cushion trainers turn the whole exercise back into shuffling. The second mistake is going too hard at the start. This isn't HIIT, it's rhythm work. Steady, controlled, breathable. If you can't talk, you're going too fast. 3 times per week. 3 rounds of 60 to 90 seconds. Build toward 5 continuous minutes. Within 3 weeks, your ankles, knees, and lower back start to feel different because they finally have feet underneath them that work. 6 moves. No gym, no machines. That's the full Persian system. Here's how to run it 3 times a week starting Monday. Persian push-ups on board, Shena, 3 sets of 8 to 12, slow descent. Shield press, Sangiri, 3 sets of 8 to 10 per side. Heavy club swings, Milbazi, 3 sets of 30 seconds to 1 minute. Iron bow swings, Kabata, 3 sets of 20 overhead passes. The Persian whirl, chark, 2 to 3 rotations of 10 to 30 seconds. Persian footwork, pazadan, 3 rounds of 60 to 90 seconds. That's under 40 minutes, and it builds the kind of body that still moves at 65, not just one that looks strong at 42. The Pahlavans who trained this way weren't just powerful in their prime. They moved well, fought well, and held their joints together for decades. That's the whole point, not a 6-week transformation. A system built for the long game, exactly the way it was built 1,000 years ago in stone-walled gyms across Iran. Run this for 30 days and your shoulders, hips, and balance will tell you the difference. Now click on this video to see more ancient strength methods that modern training completely ignores. And subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.